Hey guys, wanted to show you this latest purchase. It's a 1977 Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL 6.9, and I'm not restoring it, it's a parts car. I actually have one of these in the back of my building it belonged to a guy I knew, a car buddy. He was getting older, and he had the car. I saw him in one of the events. There was an event, like a Texas event, that was organized by one of the members on the forums, and he'd meet in Centerville, which is kind of in the middle of Houston, Texas, and Austin. And we'd all drive down and meet there. And there's a barbecue place called Woody's, and we'd eat barbecue, and then we'd go to the state park and kind of show our cars and hang out, kind of catch up with each other. And it's actually one of my favorite events because I knew people that I talked to on the forums, and we'd just interact, but I never met them in person. And then I'd meet them at this event, and we'd kind of catch up. And so every year it was kind of the only really car event that I'd go to, because some guys like to go to car events on the weekends. I like to come here and work on my cars on the weekends. If I was going to do something, I'd do that. But I saw this car. It was in Austin, and the guy listed it as a 450 SEL, not a 6.9, but I immediately knew it was a 6.9 because I looked at the bumpers. So I threw in an offer. I kind of needed a parts car. The one that I bought from this gentleman, kind of going all over the place, I'm sorry. It was a nice car. He spent some money on it, and then he loaned it to his daughter. His daughter rear-ended something, and the last time I met him, I sold him a bunch of parts from a 450 SEL that I dismantled, hood, stuff like that. He went to put them on. He had them on. He got the car in primer, and then he decided to abandon the project. And so I bought it off him maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. It came with a phone book worth of receipts, but it's still in primer. And the work that was done on it wasn't great. And I think that was a problem that he was having with his cars. I think he was getting on a bit. He wasn't doing his own work. He was giving it to people, and they were just doing a terrible job. And he just got tired of the whole bit of it. So I ended up buying it. The body on that car is great. The interior is trashed. It's actually parchment interior, so parchment leather, but it's trashed. But it runs, and the suspension pumps up, and it just needs a lot of things done to it because it's just been sitting for a long time. And I figured, well, this car is, the guy who sold it to me said that I could drive it all the way, which is not true. There's no way that this car could be driven. But I could drive it all the way from Austin to Dallas. But in any case, the fuel pumps out. It doesn't run unless you pour fuel into the throttle, but it does have some good things going for it. First and foremost, the suspension pumps right up. So even though we cranked it with with just pouring fuel down the throttle, the back of it went straight up, and it's been sitting up, which is great. The front isn't coming up, but I suspect that the control arm rod, the little rod that basically adjusts the suspension, is probably broken. It always is. The car's been sitting obviously in a field for a very long time. It is a really rotten car, so you can see that there's rot here, there's rot there. But the interior, although it's text, is pretty nice shape, which is nice. It's got the AMG style steering wheel, which I really like. I've always wanted one of these. I think I'll probably take that off and put it in on the SL, the 107 or something like that. Like the interior is horrible shape. Look at that. I just did this earlier on, but I kicked this in and put a big hole in it. It's got some serious sound system in it. So, which I obviously won't use, but I may actually use a couple of these amps, because I got some cars like the Cadillac and the Rolls Royce. They have wiring that ran to the back of the car, and so I'd either have to install an amp or rewire the entire car to get the radio to work, and that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that. This is all rotten, and it's all rotten. So let's pull the hood open and see the engine. It's a relay cover. I haven't seen that before. But yeah, I mean, it's 6.9. It's got the hydraulic suspension. The engine actually runs really well, even though we've just poured fuel down the intake, but it runs really well. Hydraulic suspension, dry sump. It's got a house-style circuit breaker, which I kind of like actually. But that makes a good theft deterrent. You can just turn this thing off and the thing won't start. It's got climate control, aluminum-bodied one, which is always constructive. And everything's complete minus the washer tank, but everything else is there. So yeah, so I don't know what to do with this car. Well, I mean, I know what to do with this car. It's a parts car. I'm going to dismantle it. But I'm thinking I may actually put a new fuel pump on it and see if I can get it running on its own power. And that way it's just easier to live with, right? It's easier to kind of get in the back of the building, because this building's getting packed. And you know, I can put it somewhere and have it out the way, but know that, you know, when it's ready, when I'm ready to drive it, I can pull it out and start driving it. But yeah, so I'll hold on to this car for a while. I'm not going to do anything with it. I just wanted to give you a quick update. I did post on one of the Facebook groups about it, and you know, there's a lot of people that could use parts. So, you know, I may sell the parts that I don't need. Like some people were asking for bumpers, which, you know, I can probably sell the bumpers, because I want to actually convert mine to Euros, and I have Euro bumpers and Euro headlights. So I can probably sell the bumpers, I can probably sell the headlights. But I'll keep all the 6.9 specific stuff for now until later on, and then decide if I want to sell those on in the future. But anyway, I just wanted to give you a quick video. There it is. It's just a cheap parts car, but you know, these cars are very, very rare. I kind of started my Mercedes-Benz Classic enthusiasm in the US with this car, with the 6.9. It was actually a very rusty 6.9 like this. It's a car from Minnesota. I just moved to Atlanta. I bought that car. I got transported to Atlanta, and I restored it. And if you go to Peach Parts, there's a weekend wrenching thread, and you can probably read all about that car and some of my other antics before I got on YouTube, because that's where I used to post. But yeah, I was probably 31, 32 at the time when I restored that, and I was so proud of myself. I ended up selling that car eventually to somebody on eBay bought it, and it ended up going to Dubai. And it was a great car, man. It was, you know, AC worked on it. You know, it was a nice car. It was very presentable. So I've always had a soft spot for 6.9s. They're special. They're plenty quick, but they're still, you know, relatively easy to work on. The M100 and the 6.9 form is really just no different to an M117. You know, it's just bigger. It's almost like somebody put straw down the you know, down one of the plug wires, blew into it, and kind of inflated an M117 to make an M100. So, so yeah, they're pretty reliable. They're pretty robust engines. They rarely have any problems, and even the suspension isn't really problematic. And they're actually great cars to own. So, if you are considering one, you know, you definitely get my endorsement on them. All right, guys. Not sure if you can see this well enough, but I rigged a second pump to the back of the car. I couldn't get the oil pump off because of the bracket was frozen solid, so it's just hanging there. It's just a temporary measure, just to see if the pump's working. And then what happened when I ran the pump, this hose started leaking. Just had a pinhole in it. So I took the hose off. I used a jigsaw blade just on a, there you go. You can see the jigsaw, well, you can't see, oh yeah, there you go. You can see the jigsaw blade right there. But I used that little jigsaw blade to cut the ferrules off. I got some fuel injected rated hose and some fuel injected rated hose clamps, and I put this on. Really the scope of this is just to see if this car will run under its own power. So let's take a look and see. So I'm going to prime the fuel system just a teeny bit, just to make sure that it gives it enough time for the fuel to come up from the fuel pump. Obviously I'm not going to leave it running for long, but I want to see if this thing will run under its own power, because if it does, then it makes my life a lot easier because I don't have to push it in and out here, which I hate to. Struggling, but it's running. Alright, that's enough for now, because there's a whole bunch of leaves down there that will probably burn the whole car down if I'm not careful. So I've got to get these. Yeah, let me just blow all these leaves out and then I'll try again. Alright, let's try this again. Alright guys, so it runs under its own power, so not all the injectors are blocked. It's probably got some really nasty gas in the tank. That's probably why it's running like this. You really shouldn't be running it with nasty gas in the tank, but what do you do? It is what it is. So yeah, well, it's positive. I think I'm done for the day. Again, this isn't the builder, it's just I just want to see it run, and I want to be able to pull it out and put it back in, so I can put it away and not have to push it, you know. So, because I already got something else coming, I'll tell you about that later. Anyway, I think that's it today. Thanks very much. Take care.